Welcome back everyone to another video, and in this video we are going to make multiplayer in our chess. Okay, so we are in our main scene, and here to this main node I will add a new script which will be called multiplayer. And in the script there will be all the joining logic as well as getting and sending our moves. However, what I'm going to do in this particular multiplayer tutorial is going to be two different Godot projects, one being the chess tutorial and the other being chess server. So instead of having one of the players host it, I'm gonna do that both players join as clients, and there's a separate server running in the background which connects them and manages their moves, etc. In the future, in other projects, I'm gonna try the other method as well, but in this one we are going to try this one. So here, let's delete both of the default ones, add a multiplayer here, and this will be enet multiplayer peer dot new. Now we need a function which will join us, so it's gonna be IP and then port. Here it's gonna be multiplayer underscore peer variable dot create client, and here it's going to be IP and port, and here it's going to be multiplayer dot multiplayer pair equals to multiplayer pair. Now here let's add a ready function, and here it's going to be join our IP, which will in this case be 127.0.0.1, and then port, which let's say 9999. It doesn't really matter what port it is, but I recommend using a 4-digit one. And this, in this case, will be a local one, so you will be able to join if it is on the same computer. Now you could use 192.168.x.x with some numbers to connect it via network as a LAN in this case. For this demonstration, I will be using a local one, but also it could be an IP if you have a Wi-Fi router and you port forward this particular port on your network. You could potentially use your IP here and connect it with your friends from different networks. So here I'm gonna do RPC, which stands for remote procedure call. Basically, it allows you to call through this particular IP or etc. To send some sort of signal to other clients. So in this case, it's gonna be function send underscore move underscore info, and here it's gonna be pass. Why am I not going to fill this in? Since this function will allow us to call it to the server rather than server call it to the clients. Basically, here let's add another function which will be return enemy move, and here it's actually gonna have something inside. In this case, it's gonna have the starting position of the move, end position of the move, and as well a promotion variable to check if it was a promotion, we have to promote it. So we just gonna pass what kind of promotion did the enemy do to what piece. And here it's gonna be board, which is this right here with the script of all the logic, and it's gonna be set move with starting position, end position, and promotion. We will, however, change this inside the board, which has previously just set the move of some other variables, but we're gonna fix this later. Now another RPC which we will need is a give underscore turn, give turn, and then set underscore turn with a turn variable. Basically, when the game starts, both clients join. We want to send them if they start first or second. And now on this, we need in the parentheses, we need to have authority call. Basically, we only want to allow calls with remote procedure call to come from authority, basically not allowing to get some janky or unwanted calls from other clients who may be trying to influence our gameplay. And the same goes for give turn. Now the last function we need is going to be function send move, which will allow us to send our move to the server, which will of course contain the same all three variables. starting position, ending position, and promotion. In this case, promotion will be null, since if there is no promotion, we don't really want to send anything. And here we are going to do RPC underscore ID 1. Here it's going to be this send move info. Then it's going to be multiplayer dot get unique ID, and then it's going to be all the free variables we have here. Essentially, we are sending to one, which one is always the server. In this case, it's going to be the separate file. Send move info, it's going to be the function which will receive all the information in the server project. Now here we are sending our ID to get who sent this request, and it's going to be starting position, ending position, and promotion. So we are done with the multiplayer script. Now let's move to our server. This needs to be named the same way as this one. So if this is capital, you need to have this as capital too. And to this, we simply, of course, save this. And another thing, we add a new script, which can be called anything. I'm gonna name it server. Here, let's delete the process function. And to this, add a new multiplayer here, which will be equal to enet multiplayer peer dot new once again. Now this will have connected peer IDs, which will be a empty array, and another which will be a turn variable, which will be true if range from 0 to 1, else it's going to be false. Essentially, this will just generate if the turn is true or false, basically whoever starts first. Here, let's add a function called host with only the port, since we don't need to add any IP, since it's gonna use our IP anyways. All of them, either it's local, network, or IP. And in this, it's gonna be multiplayer peer dot create, and in this case, it's gonna be server with only the port. And once again, multiplayer dot multiplayer peer equal to multiplayer peer. Now we need to connect two signals, so it's gonna be multiplayer peer dot peer connected dot connect. Here it's going to be a lambda function, which will be function peer ID equal to multiplayer peer dot, which will be equal to multiplayer peer, which will be equal to multiplayer dot get unique ID, and then add player with the peer ID. Now it says an error that it's not found in base self, so here we need to add player with peer ID variable, which what it will do is connected peers append peer ID. Let's copy this, paste it here, and instead of peer connected, it's gonna be peer disconnected, connect the same peer ID, and here is gonna be remove player. Here is gonna be func remove player peer ID. And here it's going to be connected dot erase. Here it's going to be the peer ID. Basically removing the ID from the connected peer IDs. This will be changed later on to add some more logic to it. Okay, so this is pretty much it from the base thing. We host, so we need to add this to this instead of port. It's going to be 9999. And basically we start the hosting on our IP with this port. It creates a server, adds it to the multiplayer peer variable. Then we connect, when a new peer is connected, the signal, we connect it to a lambda function, which will basically be with one argument, which will be the unique ID of the connected player. And we call this function, which basically this variable will store all the client IDs. So when the player joins, we add it to this and append the unique ID. The same goes for removing the player. Okay, now it's going to be RPC with any peer. We allow to call this function from anyone. So send move info, and here it's essentially the same. It's going to be first, it's going to be ID, since if we go to our this, you can see that we send this, of course, and then it's going to be all of these. So I can copy this here and just add it like that. Another RPC authority, and here it's going to be, and here it's going to be a function return enemy move. Here again RPC with authority, and here it's going to be give a turn. Once again, just passing, since we will not call this or this function in the server. Okay, now let's fix this up since we want to send the information. So it's going to be if ID is equal to connected peer IDs, and it's going to be the first person who joined, and turn. Basically, if the sent ID matches the connected ID and the turn is its, then what we do is we do RPC ID with this, but in reverse, so the other player needs to get the information, and it's going to be return enemy move, function called on the client with the starting position and promotion. And now let's copy these, do elif, and if ID is 1 and it is in turn, basically it's the other guy's turn, then we call to the first person. And now we need to do turn to the against turn with both of them. And now let's manage this one. So if connected, here ID is dot size is less than 2, basically if no people joined or one person joined, then what we do is append it. And now when we append it, if the size is equal to 2, basically both of the people joined, then we do RPC underscore ID with the first person called, and it's going to be the turn variable, and it's going to be called give underscore turn. And here is going to be the turn variable, and another which will be to the other person give turn, and it's going to be in reversed turn variable. So this is pretty much it. If there are less than 2 people, we append it to the connected peer IDs. We allow basically to join, and if after appending the second one, if there are 2 of them, then we send to basically start the game. And that is it. This is done. Now let's move on here and quickly edit the board script. Here, let's go to the top, and after all of these variables, let's do a new section which will be multiplayer, let's say. Here it's going to be simple things. It's going to be side, and here if it's white, it's going to be true. If it's black, it's going to be false. And it's going to be a function set underscore turn with a turn and side equals to turn. Basically, when on the server we get the turn, we call the set turn function on the board, and it basically assigns the side of our turn, if we are first or we are second. Now here, when the game starts, we don't want to display the board since we don't know if it's going to be first or second, so I'm going to delete that. Okay, now in the input we need to add if side isn't null and side is equal to white, and this needs to be tabbed. So basically, if the side is a null, the game has started since we set the side from the server, and the side is equal to white. Basically, if we just check if it's our turn, and this needs to be edited a little. So here it's going to be if the state is true, if I remember correctly, since this project has been done a long time ago. Basically, if we are in the selecting the move state, basically we have the dots appear. Here we do if moves has vector2 of variable 2 variable 1. Essentially, if the pressed if we're trying to make a move and the current moves for that piece is indeed on this square, we allow to make it to make that move. And here it's going to be if isn't promotion square, and here we need to let's go to the bottom and here create a new function which will be is promotion square with a start pause and end pause, here returning a boolean, and here it's going to be if absolute value of board start pause x start pause y, is equal to 1, basically it's a pawn, and if and pos.x is equal to 7, or and pos y is equal to 1. Now, of course, here we need to check if it's white's move, and here if it's black's move. So here it's gonna be, we return true since it's a promotion square. In other case, we return false. So now we can have this. Let's go to the top once again. And here, if the move is possible, we check if is promotion square with the selected piece as a starting position and a vector 2 of variable 2 and variable 1 as the end position. And if it isn't, then what we do is basically do get parent dot send move with a selected piece and a vector 2 of variable 2 variable 1. And anyway, we, even if it's not or it is, we send a move from selected piece to vector 2 of variable 1 variable 2 variable 1. And even out of this, if we do delete dots and state it's going to be false. Essentially, if the move that has been pressed, if it's inside the possible moves, we check if it isn't promotion. If it isn't promotion, then we can simply call the send moves from the multiplayer script, basically sending the move to the other client. However, if it's promotion square, we need to wait for the player to pick what kind of promotion he will want to do. And our send moves logic changes a little. So instead of variable 2, variable 1, it's going to be start position, which will be a vector 2, and position, which will be a vector 2, and then promotion, which by default will be null. Now what happens here is very simple. We delete the for loop since we already check in here if it's a possible move. So this needs to, the entire thing needs to go down and break is not needed anymore, as well as delete dots and state equals to false. Now you're gonna see a lot of errors, so very simple to fix, I promise. Instead of variable 2, variable 1, it's gonna be end position, and everywhere instead of selected piece, Control D, everything, we need to make them local. So instead of selected piece, it's gonna be start pos, and either X or Y, it doesn't matter. And now instead of Y, it's gonna be end position. So like that, like that, like that. Yes, this is done. A lot of errors should go down. It does. Yep, let's send that. Let's send that like that. This as well. This and this goes down. Here, instead of variable 2, variable 1, it's gonna be end position X and end position Y. And here we change variable 2 to end underscore position dot x and variable 1 to end position dot y. And on this we can delete this and simply do end underscore position. And the last thing we need to do is go to our set move function, and where we find the promote, we need to add this promotion variable to this. And now coming up to the promote function, here we need to add promotion equals to null, and here if promotion is equal to null, then we have to let the person choose what they want to promote to. And if it's not null, that means that it's the opponent which is trying to promote the piece. Basically, we need to just set the thing. We do board the local variable x. Let's copy this, paste it. Y equals to promotion if it's white, else minus promotion. Basically, if this function is called from the local, basically you have tried to promote, you have to pick to what piece you want to promote. And if you are an enemy, you want to just receive what the enemy promoted. So we set the new square to promotion, which will be either a bishop, knight, a rook, or a queen, if it's white's turn. And in other case, it's black, so just add a minus to it. And here, when we promote as our piece, after we set everything to before promotion square is null, we do get parent dot send move, which is a function in our multiplayer script. Here we do selected piece from motion square and then num underscore char. Basically, this is the starting position of the move made, the ending position, and then we input what kind of thing we chose to promote to. And that is pretty much it. Before we can run the game, we have to go to our set turn. And a quick thing I would like to do here is to display the board. When we choose a side, we know which side we are on. And I would like to now display the pieces. And another little touch, if we are black, I would like to take our camera 2D dot global rotation degrees 180. Basically flip it all. Flip the camera so our pieces are at the bottom. And let's quickly go to display board. And here, after instantiating the piece, we want to do, if we are black, we want to do holder dot, once again, global rotation degrees and do it to 180. We press on our camera and here, ignore rotation, we do it to false. Now if we run the game, first let's go to our server, run it, and it's running, and we go to our thingy. Now here we select debug and then run multiple instances. Since there's 2 clients, we do run 2 instances. And now when we run it, you can see that we have 2 clients and they can play with each other. Chess multiplayer is now online, but let's say we have a cheater which tries to do moves which are illegal. For now, our server doesn't check for that. So these things and more we will do in the second video. Thank you for watching and goodbye.